Judy, my question for you. There is a popular adage that construes death as the great equalizer, and yet the poor common soldier rarely received a send off equal to that of his higher ranking or more affluent brethren. I was saddened to learn in my own research that Mrs. Bixby herself died as she had lived, her pauper's grave marked only with a number. But it is not her death that we remember, but her life story, her refusal to accept her less equal position. So finally, my question is, how has your own examination of Lincoln and the widow Bixby challenged or supported the idea of death as the great equalizer?
Well, thank you, Gwen. That's a great question. And there seems to be a couple of different ways you can answer that. I'd say if we look around us here at Laurel Hill Cemetery, we see, lovely mausoleums and amazing sort of, statues erected to people who lived in Philadelphia who came from means, right? Whose families had the means to buy the plot and then to inter them here. At the beginning of the war, really, it was the folks who would have been buried here at Laurel Hill Cemetery who could expect to have their bodies of dead soldiers returned to them. Your average soldier, your average soldier's family would not have had the opportunity early in the war to bury the remains of their loved ones. It was very haphazard sort of arrangements made at the beginning of the war for interring the bodies of soldiers, with some of them coming home and being buried here, but many, many more of them simply being buried where they fell. By the end of the war, there is that sort of attempt on the part of the nation, right, to see all of these deaths as equal. If you ever go to Gettysburg National Cemetery or any of the other military cemeteries, right, all the headstones are the same. They're all level, right? They're all laid out in orderly lines like an army almost. And they really do seem to suggest, right, that where the nation was at the end of the war was valuing all of these deaths the same, or at least trying to sort of draw that message out on the battlefields. And I think that also has to do with the way in which the sort of cause of the war changed as the war went on, right? As the war became a war of emancipation, right, this sort of egalitarian notion of, right, sort of treating all the dead equally seemed to make more sense. And we can see that in some of the military cemeteries that were erected at the end of the war and afterward. If you go to Arlington National Cemetery, it's the same thing.